Think all isekai anime are the same? Think again. Yeah, the genre's flooded with carbon copy OP protagonists and fantasy McWorlds, but hidden beneath the trash tier tropes are legit masterpieces no one's talking about. We're talking isekai with stakes, soul, and some straight-up insane premises that flew under the radar. These 25 anime aren't just underrated, they're criminally overlooked. If you're tired of the same magic system, same harem, same plot armor, this list is your escape route. Let's blow open the portal to the wild side of isekai. You ready?
Grimgar, Ashes, and Illusions. A dozen strangers wake up in total darkness with no memories, just their names and a single terrifying truth. This new world doesn't hand out extra lives. Grimgar follows Haruhiro's fledgling party as they join the Reserve Army, a guild that pays rookies to hunt goblins. It sounds like standard RPG stuff until the first skirmish goes sideways. Swords slip, arrows miss, fear takes over, and someone dies for real. From that moment, every copper coin and healing herb feels earned. The watercolor backgrounds look almost peaceful, creating a striking contrast with the constant anxiety the characters feel about rent, food, and funeral costs. Instead of power-ups and instant mastery, progress shows in the smallest ways: a steadier hand with a dagger, the courage to call an enemy's bluff, the ability to smile after a loss. If you're drawn to character-driven stories where victory is surviving until tomorrow, this one will hit hard in the best way.
Failure frame. I became the strongest and annihilated everything with low-level spells. Imagine your whole class gets summoned as legendary heroes, except your destiny is the absolute weakest job in the roster. Tuka's status conditioner title sounds useless, so the goddess of this world dumps him into a monster-filled labyrinth to die. Big mistake. Tuka quickly discovers that his so-called junk skills, poison, paralysis, blindness, stack indefinitely and ignore level caps. Every floor he clears turns him into a walking biohazard with a score to settle against the classmates and deities who wrote him off. What sets Failure Frame apart is its tight focus on psychological payback. Tuka isn't out for generic justice. He wants his enemies to feel the same helpless dread he once did. The story also explores how revenge corrodes allies and bystanders, raising the question of whether the hero label means anything once you cross certain lines. Visually, early key art teases a shadowy, horror-tinged palette, more berserk than bright fantasy.
Remonster. Tomokui Kanata expected a second chance at life. He didn't expect to respawn as Gob-Ru, the scrawniest goblin in a predator-packed forest. Survival means eating whatever or whoever crosses his path, because Gob-Ru's unique ability lets him absorb the powers of anything he devours. A wolf pelt grants heightened senses, lizard flesh unlocks regeneration, and rare magical herbs spark evolutionary leaps that leave regular goblins in the dust. This fast-tracking power curve keeps the stakes high. Every hunt could shoot him up a tier or get him shredded by something higher on the food chain. Beneath the carnage, the series asks how much humanity you can retain when your strength literally feeds on others. It's equal parts monster upgrade chart and morality play, wrapped in visceral action sequences that don't shy away from the grisly cost of each new skill. The spring 2024 anime adapts the first major arc, including Gobru's rise from cave runt to tribal leader and his first clash with human adventurers who see goblins only as EXP fodder.
Ishura. The Demon Lord is already dead when Ishura begins, and that's the problem. With the top boss gone, the world's strongest misfits, dragon slayers, immortal swordsmen, living disasters, all decide they deserve the empty throne. Every episode jumps between these walking WMDs, showing how each plans to out-scheme or out-muscle the rest. Because no single narrator can keep up, the story plays out through shifting points of view. Sometimes you're cheering for a quiet assassin. Next, you're cringing as a hero of legend casually levels a city block. What I love is the moral grayness. Almost everyone thinks they're saving the world, even as collateral damage piles up. Visually, the light novel art leans dark fantasy. Detailed armor, cursed weapons, a color palette that screams storm incoming. The first anime season adapts the opening Civil War arc, ending on a cliffhanger that practically begs for a sequel.
Chillin' in another world with level 2 super cheat powers. Banaza is summoned to save a kingdom, but a quick stat check says he's level 2, basically useless. The royals toss him out before realizing his hidden passive makes every stat scale to infinity. Banaza decides world saving can wait. He buys a cozy cottage, grows vegetables, and tries very hard not to one-shot every monster in the forest. The fun comes from the gap between his chill personality and his broken numbers. Banishing a dragon because it's scaring the neighbor kids, casually tanking a meteor while fixing his fence, balance. Supporting characters, an exiled princess, a tsundere merchant, keep the slice-of-life banter flowing, while occasional boss battles remind you he could end wars if he felt like leaving the farm. If you're burnt out on grim dark power trips, this is the palate cleanser. Equal parts comfort food and quiet wish fulfillment.
Number 6. By the grace of the gods, Ryoma Takabayashi was a burned-out office worker who literally died from overwork. As a reward for his hard life, 3 gods reincarnate him into a peaceful forest in a fantasy world. No demon lords, no urgent quests, just quiet days and a second chance. With some basic magic and a kind heart, Ryoma discovers his new best friends, slimes. Not the kind you farm for XP, but ones that can clean, heal, purify water, and even tan leather if you train him right. Instead of chasing glory, he opens a slime-powered laundry shop, helps out the locals, and gradually earns the trust of an entire town. The charm here is in the details, teaching slimes to sort laundry, inventing soap that doesn't sting, and watching people slowly heal, not with spells, but through kindness. Season 2 expands on that cozy world, introducing merchants, adventurers, and nobles who see Ryoma not as a prodigy, but as someone worth supporting. If you're into gentle world building, low-stress stories, and characters who grow through connection, not combat, this is the Isekai equivalent of comfort food.
Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody. Programmer Suzuki is 29, sleep-deprived, and knee-deep in bug fixes when an overclocked debug command pulls him straight into his own MMO. He wakes up 15 years younger, wielding a menu that says level 310, basically a walking patch note. What sets Death March apart isn't the power curve. He can nuke an entire lizard army with a tap, but what he does with it. Sightseeing, sampling local street food, and helping NPCs chase their small dreams. The series flows like a travel diary. One chapter you're mapping ancient ruins, the next you're bargaining for rare spices. Action pops up when needed, yet the focus stays on discovery and gentle humor. Side characters, a timid demi-wolf, a prodigy mage, a tsundere merchant, give the harem angle light banter without drowning the plot. If you enjoy world building, crafting recipes, and low-stakes charm mixed with occasional fireworks, this is a laid-back binge. Skeleton Knight in Another World. Ark was just grinding a late-night session of his favorite VR MMO when he nodded off and woke up inside the game as his own avatar, a towering, fully armored skeleton knight. After the initial freakout, mirrors are awkward when you're all bone, he decides to tour the countryside, hiding his undead face under a helmet and accidentally racking up hero points. Rescuing elves from slavers? Check. One-handing ogres because the interrupted lunch? Also check. What I like is the tone flip-flop. Ark's inner monologue is pure chill gamer, but the world around him plays things straight, so his casual, guess I'll save them moments land like a legendary quest to everyone else. The show touches heavier themes, corruption, human trafficking, yet balances them with buddy comedy moments between Ark, a snarky ninja elf, and an excitable beast folk priestess. The first season covers Ark's secret identity struggles and hints at bigger conspiracies, so a sequel feels inevitable.
As a reincarnated aristocrat, I'll use my appraisal skill to rise in the world. Teenage office drone Ars Luvent opens his eyes in a medieval kingdom, this time as the sickly heir of a minor noble house that's one border dispute away from ruin. His lone cheat skill, appraisal, sounds tame until he realizes it reveals every person's hidden talents and growth potential. Instead of swinging swords himself, Ars starts scouting peasants, mercenaries, even rival nobles, assembling a dream roster of strategists, healers, and future generals. Think fantasy football, but the stakes are land rights and civil wars. The draw here is strategy over brute force, training a shy stable hand into an elite cavalry officer, poaching a genius mage before the big houses notice, negotiating alliances with data no one else can see. Light novel readers praise the series for tactical battles that hinge on logistics and morale rather than solo heroics. Campfire cooking in another world with my absurd skill. When Mukoda gets summoned to a fantasy world alongside 3 traditional heroes, the kingdom quickly realizes he's not what they expected. His only ability? Online grocery. They write him off and send him packing. Huge mistake. His skill lets him order ingredients from modern Japan, soy sauce, miso, high-grade meat, and cook up meals this medieval world has never seen. And when a giant, battle-hardened Fenrir tastes his cooking, he immediately signs a contract to protect Mukoda in exchange for 3 meals a day. Yes, really. Each episode blends cozy cooking with light adventure. Mukoda shops for monster meat, invents Isekai-style karaage, and slowly builds a reputation. Not as a hero, but as a chef everyone wants a taste from. With Fenrir and his slime companion Sui handling the fighting, Mukoda mostly just worries about spices, budget, and keeping his friends fed. The recipe
recipes are so realistic, YouTube chefs have recreated them, turning the series into unexpected food core comfort anime. If you like laid-back vibes with occasional monster smackdowns, this one's a sleeper hit. Uncle from Another World. Takafumi's uncle wakes from a 17-year coma babbling about magic swords, tsundere elves, and most crucially, how the Sega Saturn was peak gaming. Turns out he really did spend nearly 2 decades Isekai style and brought his spells home. The series is equal parts sitcom and culture shock documentary. Uncle uses ice magic to keep the AC bill down, live streams spell demonstrations, and Rage translates elf love confessions he was too dense to notice at the time. Meanwhile, Takafumi monetizes the madness on YouTube to pay rent. Production delays made headlines, but the meme energy, Sega versus Nintendo rants, and fantasy PTSD played for laughs kept viewers hooked. If you like your isekai turned inside out with heaps of 90s nostalgia, this delivers.
Loner life in Another World. Haruka isn't the chosen one. When his whole class gets summoned to a fantasy world, everyone's handed overpowered skills except him. He skips the spotlight, ends up with leftover abilities, and quietly walks away from the group. But here's the twist. Those random skills, they're insanely useful when combined. With a knack for survival, crafting, and self-enhancement, Haruka builds a life completely off the grid. No party, no politics, no problem. He sets up camp in the wilderness, crafts powerful gear, hunts high-level monsters, and lives life at his own pace. While his classmates are out struggling through quests, Haruka is fishing at sunrise and cooking meals in a log cabin he built himself. What makes Loner Life stand out is its tone. It's not about saving the world or building a harem. It's about one guy living smart, staying sharp, and occasionally stepping in when others need him, if he feels like it. It's a chill, self-aware take on the isekai formula with a main character who'd rather avoid drama than chase it, and that's exactly what makes it work.
How not to summon a demon lord. MMO legend Takuma thought role-playing his max-level demon lord Diablo was edgy fun, right up until 2 wannabe summoners drag him into their world and the spell backfires, slapping slave collars on them instead. Socially anxious IRL, Takuma leans into his in-game persona to hide the panic, and the result is equal parts overpowered flex and glorious cringe comedy. Battles showcase busted spell builds, think 999,000 damage fireballs, while downtime is pure sitcom. Diablo trying to decode feelings, the slave collar loophole quest, and party banter that roasts every harem trope. Season 2 doubles down on world lore and introduces even spicier censorship debates. Uncut versions stream separately for fans who want the full experience. Underneath the ecchi antics is a sweet message. Confidence can be its own magic staff.
Headhunted to another world, from salaryman to Big Four. Life in middle management is hell. So when a portal opens under Uchimura's desk, dropping him into the Demon King's castle, he barely has time to adjust his tie before HR names him a general. His weapon? Corporate strategy. Instead of swords, he wields spreadsheets, optimizing monster troop logistics, implementing paid leave, morale skyrockets, and rebranding the Demon Army's public image. The hook is brilliant satire. Fantasy nations negotiate trade tariffs, ogres attend sensitivity training, and dragons sign non-aggression pacts drafted in PowerPoint. Combat still happens, but Uchimura's KPI-driven plans usually end fights before blades clash. Light novel readers rave that the story proves soft skills can be S-tier over brute force.
In another world with my smartphone. Accidentally zapped by a clumsy god, teenager Toya gets an apology gift. Rebirth in a magic world plus his smartphone. Now supercharged with unlimited battery, GPS, and universal translation. Throw in every elemental spell at 100% proficiency, and you've got the chillest cheat build ever. Instead of chasing epic quests, Toya uses maps to find rare herbs, FaceTime equivalents to prank royalty, and Google image memory to design modern conveniences. The tone is pure comfort. Weekly festivals, ice cream invention, low trauma diplomacy. Sprinkled with occasional boss fights, Toya resolves in one move. Critics call it vanilla, but fans love it as background serotonin. No angst, plenty of world tour fun, and a growing poly-fiancé squad that somehow stays wholesome. Season 2 expands the setting with mecha golems and inter-kingdom politics, proving even a soft isekai can scale up.
17. The hidden dungeon only I can enter. Noir Starty-Up starts life with a noble title but zero prospects, until a hidden dungeon grants him a cheat skill, the power to create or edit any ability he can imagine. The catch? Each new skill costs LP, life points, which Noir only earns by experiencing life's pleasures. Good food, heartfelt compliments, and yes, the occasional blush-inducing hug or kiss.
Cue a series that balances classic dungeon crawl battles with lighthearted rom-com moments. Noir invents Slicing Gale to help childhood friend Emma pass adventurer exams, then designs Detect Hidden Traps to keep his guildmates safe 3 floors deeper. The stakes climb as the dungeon reveals rarer treasures and nastier bosses, but the show never lets the danger overshadow its playful core. Every episode ends on a smile. If you enjoy straightforward fantasy with just enough fan service to keep things spicy, and a protagonist who actually earns his power-ups, this is a fun weekend binge.
Cautious hero, the hero is overpowered but overly cautious. On paper, Seiya is your classic isekai protagonist. Good looks, sky-high stats, and a world to save. But there's one problem. He refuses to do anything without being 1000% prepared. Summoned by rookie goddess Restarte to save a high-difficulty world, Seiya trains for days before stepping outside, buys dozens of backup swords, and hoards enough healing potions to open a pharmacy. Every move he makes feels absurd until you realize it actually works. Every over-the-top safety measure ends up saving his life, and the joke keeps landing. But Cautious Hero isn't just a parody. As the story unfolds, Seiya's extreme behavior starts to make sense, and when the emotional gut punch finally hits in the last arc, it really hits. What keeps the show balanced is Restarte herself. She's constantly reacting, overreacting, and breaking the fourth wall with the kind of chaotic energy you'd expect from a goddess who summoned the anime equivalent of Batman with anxiety. If you like overpowered main characters, but still want tension, laughs, and a surprisingly serious payoff, this one delivers.
Kuma Bear. 15-year-old Yuna would rather grind VR MMOs than deal with school or parents. When she's offered a thank you gift for loyal play, she picks a super fluffy bear suit on a whim and wakes up wearing it in a fantasy world that looks suspiciously like her favorite game. The kicker? The bear outfit is wildly OP, boosting her magic, defense, and summoning 2 equally adorable bear familiars. Instead of chasing epic quests, Yuna buys land, starts a seafood restaurant, and uses her bear paws to punch out bandits threatening her new friends. Each episode blends cozy slice of life, teaching orphan kids to cook, with pop-up boss fights, one-shotting a hydra because it interrupted dinner. It's low-stress escapism that still delivers satisfying action beats, and the bear-themed spells, bear missiles, anyone, never stop being charming. Season 2 widens the map with snow festivals, hot springs, and bigger dungeons, proving comfy adventures can scale too.
Ascendance of a bookworm. Ureno Motosu, lifelong bibliophile, dies under a stack of falling books only to awaken in the frail body of 5-year-old Mine, a merchant's daughter in a medieval city where books are luxury items reserved for nobles and priests. With zero magic and fragile health, Mine sets a single goal: print her own stories before another fever carries her off. What starts as a personal project quickly snowballs into papyrus experiments, ink mishaps, and an underground library mafia of kids trading crudely bound picture books. The brilliance of Bookworm is the granular world building. You'll learn how to boil lye for soap, press vegetable oil for lamps, and craft movable type, each breakthrough inching society forward. Emotional stakes climb alongside the tech tree. Mine's inventions threaten guild monopolies and church politics, forcing her to navigate class prejudice and her own weakening body. Season 3 finally unveils her latent mana and a priesthood plotline that reframes every earlier victory. The wrong way to use healing magic. Ordinary high schooler Ken Usato is accidentally dragged into a hero summoning spell targeting his 2 overachieving friends. He lacks combat aptitude, but a battlefield medic notices his freakish healing potential, endless stamina, near-instant regeneration spells, and strong-arms him into the kingdom's rescue team. Training is brutal. 100-kilometer marches, close-quarter sparring, and casting recovery magic until his mana core feels like jelly. The twist? Usato's healing can be weaponized, reinforcing muscles for superhuman strikes and instantly patching up fatal wounds so he can rejoin the fray. The series flips the usual white mage stereotype. Healers rappel down castle walls mid-siege, punch through enemy lines to extract casualties, then sprint back for triage. Light novel readers praise the mix of shonen grit and dark comedy. If you can still scream, you're fine. Keep running. The upcoming anime adapts the rescue team boot camp arc
spark and the first demon invasion, promising high-octane action that finally gives healers their badass moment.
The devil is a part-timer. Satan Jacob, feared Dark Lord of Venta Isla, escapes a hero's onslaught through an interdimensional gate and crash lands in modern Tokyo with no magic and a wallet full of lint. To regain power, he needs yen, which means part-time work at McDonald's. Watching the once almighty demon master customer service skills, upsell seasonal fries, and fret over rent is comedy gold. The show's genius lies in role reversals. The heroic Amelia follows him to Earth and ends up a stress call center agent. Lucifer becomes a hikikomori hoarding online shopping points. Slice-of-life hijinks dominate, but real stakes surface whenever relics of their old war leak into Japan, forcing Satan to save civilians to protect his employee record. Season 2's art style shift sparked debate, yet it expanded the lore with angelic corporate espionage and a half-angel toddler who calls Satan Dad. Ultimately, the series asks whether evil is a choice or just a career you can quit after a decent shift meal.
Trapped in a dating sim, the world of otome games is tough for mobs. Leon Bartford isn't a chosen hero, he's just a background character. After dying and reincarnating into a trashy otome game his sister forced him to play, Leon finds himself in a world where social status is everything, and he's at the bottom. The nobles are arrogant, the love interests are walking red flags, and the real protagonist barely in the picture. Armed with meta-knowledge and endless sarcasm, Leon decides to game the system. He finds a powerful lost mech, dominates the Academy's combat trials, and casually roasts every main character along the way. He's not interested in saving the world, he just wants a quiet life. Too bad the plot won't leave him alone. What makes this series stand out is the tone. It's a rare isekai that blends parody and world building without losing its edge. Leon's inner monologue is brutally honest. The social politics are genuinely clever, and the mecha battles way better than they have any right to be. If you're into underdog stories with brains, bite, and the perfect amount of petty energy, this one is a gem.
Handyman Saito and Another World. Saito was just your average handyman in Japan, until he dies and wakes up in a fantasy world filled with adventurers, demons, and magical dungeons. He's got no cheat skill, no overpowered magic, just a toolbox and a lifetime of DIY experience. But in a world where no one knows how to pick locks, fix armor, or organize inventory, Saito quickly becomes the MVP of his party. He's not the strongest, but he's the one that holds everything together, literally and emotionally. Handyman Saito is a hidden gem because it flips the isekai formula. It's not about world-saving battles, it's about small, meaningful contributions, party dynamics, and quiet moments of reflection. It's got humor, heart, and just enough action to keep things moving. And low-key, the cast is stacked with waifus, grandpas, demons, and tsundere mages who all low-key adore this humble handyman. If you want something cozy but emotionally rich, this is peak underrated fantasy.
In the land of Leedale, after a tragic accident leaves her body paralyzed, Kana Kagami lives entirely through VR MMOs until the servers shut down and she wakes up inside the game. 200 years later, now reborn as the High Elf Mage, Kana, she's one of the strongest beings in the world. But this isn't about fighting demon lords. It's about adjusting to a quiet new life in a familiar yet changed world. Her old guildmates are legends. Her adopted kids are now world leaders, and she's just vibing with absurd power and a casual attitude. Leedale stands out because it's not about leveling up. It's about moving on. Kana explores the world, makes friends, builds a house, cooks meals, and occasionally drops a magic nuke on someone who deserves it. This is comfort core isekai, with light comedy, wholesome vibes, and a cast you'll genuinely enjoy spending time with.
Farming life and Another World. Forget saving kingdoms. Hiraku just wants to grow tomatoes in peace. After dying of illness, he's given a second chance at life by a god and asks for a healthy body and a simple life in a forest. The god delivers, and then some. Hiraku gets a divine farming tool that works as an axe, pickaxe, hoe, weapon, you name it. He builds a cabin, plants crops, and somehow ends up founding a village filled with elves, vampires, beast folk, and a rapidly expanding harem. Despite being OP in a god of agriculture way, Hiraku is chill. He just wants to grow food, enjoy festivals, and make wine. The fun comes from watching this tiny village evolve into a fantasy utopia, with the occasional orc invasion or celestial dragon visit. Farming life is pure slice-of-life wish fulfillment. No edgy drama, no dungeon crawling, just good vibes, beautiful waifus, and harvest season.
So how many of those 25 had you actually heard of? If you've got another isekai gem we didn't mention, drop it in the comments. Let's build the ultimate underrated watch list together. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because the next hidden world is just one Truck-kun away.